Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're taking a look today at the Huawei MediaPad M5 10.8. This is an Android tablet, which is kind of an unusual thing these days. We haven't seen too many name brand Android tablets lately. Even Google has stopped pushing them. But this one's actually not bad, and there's a 10-inch version, which is what we're looking at today, and there's also an 8-inch version that should perform about the same because it has the same processor. So we're going to take a deep dive and see what this tablet can and can't do in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this is on loan from Huawei. So when we're done with this, it goes back to them. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, nor is anyone reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's take a closer look now at the hardware. One of the things that I really like about Huawei's products is that they feel a lot like Apple products, and sometimes people get mad at me for saying that, but the reality is they have very effectively made things that are very high quality, that don't cost as much as the Apple stuff does. And you've got a nice glass display here with a very nice display, all metal design on the back here. It just feels nice to hold. And I think they've done a nice job with this, as they've done with a few other products we've looked at from them recently. Now, this is the 10.8 version. It costs $320. There's a Pro version that has a pen. That one will run about $410. It even comes with the pen. There's also an 8.4-inch version for $279. And I believe they all have the same processor. So the performance you're going to see on this one should be the same on the others. But we didn't get the Pro in from Huawei, so we don't have a pen to demo in this video, unfortunately. Now, the 10.8 version here has a 2560 by 1600 display. It is very sharp. It looks really nice. And it's a high DPI display as well, so it's nice to read for text and whatnot. It's also very bright as well, so I was pleased with how the display looks on this. It's got a high silicon Kirin 960 processor built in. That is, I believe, Huawei's own chip. And as you'll see in a few minutes, it comes close, but not yet exceeding the fastest Android tablet we've ever looked at, the NVIDIA Shield K1. We're not there yet, but we're getting there, which is good to see here. We've got 4 gigs of RAM on this one, 64 gigs of storage. I believe the base model comes with 32, but it does have, I think, adequate RAM for an Android tablet. It's running Android 8 Oreo. It doesn't feel as skinned as prior versions of Huawei products do. It's not going to be a stock Android experience, but it's a little less iOS-like than I've seen out of prior Huawei tablets that were really mimicking the iOS look and feel. This one feels a little closer to stock Android, but is not all the way there. The 10.8 version here weighs 498 grams or 17.56 ounces. It supports 802.11 Wi-Fi up to AC, so it feels like it's got decent Wi-Fi connectivity. The battery life on this one will also run you about 10 hours if you're doing basic tasks like email and web browsing and that sort of thing. If you get into gaming and whatnot, you'll obviously burn that battery down a bit quicker, but I still think you'll have decent all-day battery life out of this for most tasks. Now, as I mentioned, there are some similarities to Apple products here, including the lack of a headphone jack. There is no headphone jack to be found on this one. All you've got is a USB Type-C connector here at the bottom. So if you want to hook up wired headphones, they do give you a USB-C to headphone adapter cable in the box, but it'll be something you'll have to remember to take with you. It does, of course, support Bluetooth, so you should be okay there. Next to it is a micro SD card slot. I believe there are versions of this tablet that support LTE as well, so you might be able to get it on your mobile network if compatible, but this one appears just to have a single SD card slot there for augmenting its onboard storage. You've got a power switch here, volume rocker over here, 2 speakers on the back. They sound very nice. It's a very clear and crisp and loud sound, really decent here for a relatively thin tablet. So that's good. They really kind of, though, push you into this landscape mode because this is a 16:9 tablet. So it's a little better for movies, perhaps, than it is for reading, just given how tall and thin the display looks when it's in landscape mode. That's one thing that I prefer on the iPad, is that they have a more square aspect ratio, so it's a little better for reading. But if you are a movie watcher, I think this is a good aspect ratio for that. Beyond that, though, there isn't anything else really to talk about for ports. It looks like it's got some pogo plugs down here, maybe for a keyboard case. We did not get that with our review unit here. The camera on the back is a 13 megapixel camera. Looks okay. You can see it has some pretty decent detail to it. It will shoot video at 4K at 30 frames per second. It will also do 1080p at 60 and 30 frames per second. Video quality looks pretty good, but there's no stabilization built into the camera, so you'll pick up footprints and that kind of thing. But generally, I don't really look at tablets as cameras. But if you want to take a picture or do a video, it should look okay, but you might want to be careful about walking around while you're shooting a video with it. And one last hardware feature is the fingerprint sensor. You've got one here on the side that works also as a home button for your device. There's also a little haptic feedback motor inside that'll give you a little vibration when you push that as well. So you've got that available to you. It's also a multi-user tablet, so people can log in with their own fingerprint and get their own profile, which is one feature of Android that I really like, especially on tablets. It's easier to share one because more than one person can use it. Performance on the tablet is great, actually. I was really impressed with how quickly it browses the web and does all the things that people typically do with their tablets, so it really feels like a snappy and responsive device here. The picture quality on the display is excellent. The text is very sharp, and again, a really decent overall tablet experience. And if you're watching online video like YouTube or Twitch or Netflix, I think you'll have a very good experience here as well. We've got YouTube running with one of my 1080p 60 videos, and it's playing back just fine here. I'm not seeing any drop frames, maybe one or two here, but nothing really all that noticeable. And it really feels like a decent viewing experience with a very, very nice display that has a nice natural range of color to it. So I was very pleased with the video playback on here as well. And it does a pretty nice job playing games too. We ran GTA Vice City and had a very good experience there. It was a very good frame rate and no issues with that game whatsoever. Goat Simulator, which is also pretty graphically intensive, ran very nicely on the tablet as well. So I was pleased with the performance that we were getting out of it playing games. And we also ran the 3D Mark Slingshot Gaming Benchmark to see if we're getting close to the NVIDIA Shield K1 tablet. That NVIDIA tablet came out about 3 or 4 years ago now and has yet to be exceeded by another Android tablet. It is that powerful. And unfortunately, this one isn't quite there yet. We got a score of 2,511, which is much better than many Android tablets we've looked at over the last couple of years, but still not better than the Shield K1. But nonetheless, you can get a lot of decent Android games to run on here. I think it'll also be pretty good for emulation. So I was curious to see how well it might handle the Dolphin emulator. And while it does run the games and they look okay, it doesn't perform anywhere near the full speed that you would want for a good playable experience. So we're probably running at about 10 or 15 frames per second, if that here. So we're not quite there yet on some of the higher end emulation. Some of the flagship phones now are running the Dolphin emulator at full speed, but not this particular tablet. But I think it'll be fine for, doing the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 1 and a number of other 8 and 16-bit consoles, but we're not quite there yet for some more modern stuff. But we're getting there, and it's good to see there is some movement now in tablet performance, because over the last couple of years, it's kind of been in decline. So I'm a bit encouraged by this, but we're not, again, quite there just yet. So overall, I am quite pleased with what they put together here. It feels like a very nicely constructed product. It's got a nice display. It's a lot less expensive than an iPad, and in some cases, you could probably buy 2 or 3 of these compared to what one iPad costs. And if you're not doing all that much on your tablet beyond watching video or browsing the web, you really don't need an iPad for that. And I think you'll do quite well with one of these and have a pretty similar experience for, again, far less money. So that's going to do it for the Huawei MediaPad M5. And until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Chris Allegretta, the 4 Guys with Quarters podcast, Tom Albrecht, Gerard Newberg, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.